I just don't like the charges they came up with: involuntary manslaughter, killing Michael Jackson, involuntary manslaughter.
Do you think Conrad Murray administered the lethal dose?
I'm not sure, but I do know that Michael did not administer it himself, yes.
Why wasn't he being watched under these type of circumstances? Why did they even take place? Are they really legal, what was going on? Whether he asked for it or not, is this something that doctors are supposed to do or we could do in our homes? As doctors, we've taken oaths to protect the human life, watch over human life. Why did he die under your care?
So many questions surrounding the death of pop superstar Michael Jackson, the king of pop. What happened? June 25th, 2009. I don't know about you, but I know exactly where I was when I heard Michael Jackson had passed away. Where was his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray? Did he kill the king of pop? Dr. Murray is charged in Michael Jackson's death. His trial is set to begin September 8th, and the very same team that brought you complete coverage of the Casey Anthony trial will bring you every moment of the Conrad Murray trial right here on HLN. Tonight, I want to dive in and take a closer look at the top 5 mistakes that I think Dr. Conrad Murray made based on the allegations the night Michael Jackson died. He hasn't been convicted of anything. Let's remember that. His trial is coming up. But number 1, he gave Jackson propofol. It's a drug that's only supposed to be used in a hospital setting. They weren't in a hospital. 2, he didn't have, according to published reports, according to allegations, any ventilation or respiratory equipment in the home in case Jackson stopped breathing. Number 3, Dr. Murray allegedly waited before calling 911. Now, he says he found Jackson unresponsive around 11 a.m. That was his initial claim. There was not a call for help until 12:22. That's a long time. Now, 4, the allegations are that he lied to paramedics about the drugs he gave to Michael Jackson. First, the claims are he didn't say that he administered any drugs. And then he allegedly admitted he gave Jackson lorazepam, but never mentioned anything about propofol. 5, he also allegedly lied to paramedics about when Michael Jackson stopped breathing. He apparently told them, well, it just happened, or words to that effect. Joining me now, CNN producer Alan Duke, as well as Sunny Hostin, lead and contributor for In Session. I got to start with Alan. Okay, you've said that there were something like, what, 18 alleged mistakes that he made? How is the prosecution going to lay all this out? And what is the level of proof that they have to rise to prove that he is guilty of this manslaughter charge?
They have a new report from a cardiologist, a Dr. Schaefer, who was actually compiled in April. We've not seen it, but they've talked about it in hearings. The cardiologist has identified, actually I've recounted 17 standard of care deviations that could have led to Michael Jackson's death. Not just the one thing about giving him the propofol, but 17 specific things from this one doctor. A total of 11 experts have also identified deviations from standard of care, and we'll hear from those in the trial. What the prosecution is saying is that Dr. Murray was incompetent and untruthful. He was above his head. He didn't know what he was doing that night or that morning when Michael Jackson died.
Yeah, but Dr. Conrad Murray very confidently went on YouTube and gave a message to all his patients back in August of 2009. Listen to this.
Please, don't worry. As long as I keep God in my heart and you in my life, I will be fine. I have done all I could do. I told the truth, and I have faith the truth will prevail. God bless you, and thank you.
Sunny Hostin, do you think that was a smart move for him to do that video, given that he is now going on trial? Will that video pop up in the trial?
I think it was a stupid move. I mean, most defense attorneys will tell you, Jane, that they don't want their clients to say anything to anyone, and they especially won't want their clients to give a videotape statement that's going to be all over YouTube. Quite frankly, when I first saw it, I thought it appeared creepy, and certainly if there are people in the jury pool that watched that and felt the same way that I felt, that was certainly a bad move for him. But I think what Alan said is really important. This case is about breaching the standard of care. That is not a very difficult case to prove, given the facts of this case. I've spoken to doctor after doctor after doctor, Jane, and I haven't had any doctor tell me that Conrad Murray's actions or alleged actions on the day of Michael Jackson's death were within the standard of care. You don't give propofol to someone in their home. You don't do it when you especially don't have this ventilation equipment. You don't leave them alone. You don't lie to paramedics. All of these deviations are going to be very, very troubling for the defense.
And yet, as we've seen time and time again, Casey Anthony, Michael Jackson himself, sometimes you think you're going to win and you lose.
We have a gentleman here that needs help, and he's not breathing.
All right. Do you have him? Is he on the floor? Where's he at right now?
He's on the bed, sir. He's on the bed.
Okay. Did anybody see him?
Yes, we have a personal doctor here with him, sir.
Did anybody witness what happened?
No, just the doctor, sir. The doctor's been the only one here.
That was the 911 call investigators say was made almost 90 minutes after Dr. Conrad Murray said he discovered Michael Jackson wasn't breathing. Just one of the many huge controversies surrounding this case. And I got to ask you, Alan Duke, we're hearing now that Dr. Conrad Murray's attorneys are kind of massaging the timeline, because the original timeline comes from the document that I'm holding in my hand, the search warrant affidavit, and it's really based on what Dr. Conrad Murray told cops, and it's very specific. And we can show you a graphic of it, and I'm reading along. Basically, he's saying that it was 1:30 in the morning. He gave him the Valium, and he still couldn't sleep. And then at 2, he gave him lorazepam, and it goes on and on and on. And we'll show you that timeline. But the key is that he says at 10:40, he finally administered propofol, and then finally Michael Jackson went to sleep. After 10 minutes, Murray stated he left Jackson's side to go to the restroom and relieve himself. He was out of the room for a maximum of 2 minutes. Upon his return, he noticed Michael Jackson was no longer breathing. Now, that would make it about 11:02. How are they able to change this timeline? This guy is very specific here.
Well, what they're basing the timeline, besides the search warrant, since that was issued, you also have the phone records, the email records, the text messaging, and also the preliminary hearing testimony of people that Conrad Murray was communicating with that morning, girlfriends who testified during the preliminary hearing. But there is fuzziness there because some things just don't add up, and we really didn't get the clear picture in the preliminary hearing of what was happening when Dr. Murray was in a closet, a very large closet in the adjacent bedroom, and not watching Michael Jackson. Of course, the defense is going to try to show that Michael had the opportunity perhaps to ingest propofol himself in a bottle next to his bed, or perhaps inject himself.
Well, it kind of goes both ways. There's apparently some kind of communication from Dr. Murray at a time where, if this original timeline that he gave cops was accurate, it doesn't make any sense, because he's calmly having some kind of communication with somebody where he would, by the nature of what's going on, be hysterical and desperate. And so what that could indicate is maybe he wasn't in the room at all. And prosecutors might use that to argue he was outside not watching Michael Jackson at all, and on the phone for longer than he says he was. Final thoughts?
Yeah, we'll get that in the trial. You see, preliminary hearing and all these documents, we've just gotten a little bit of it. And that's one thing that's going to make this trial really interesting, to see what we learn.
It's going to be unbelievable, really, because it doesn't add up. That's the whole point. Thank you so much, Alan Duke. And we're going to talk about this all this week.